Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a very brief comparison between three very popular tablets right now. So on the far left over here we have the OnePlus Pad 2. Here in the middle we have the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. And then here on the right we have the Apple iPad Pro 11-inch M2 model. As you can see, I have the Apple Pencil there on the top of the iPad, and here on the OnePlus Pad, it's not there at the moment, but I do have the OnePlus Stylo as well. Let me pop that on there to charge so that you can get a more fair comparison. So there it is now wirelessly charging on the side. So you can see the OnePlus Pad 2 and the iPad Pro take a very similar approach to charging that stylus there on the side unprotected, whereas your Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 is going to have the stylus here on the back of the tablet. Which I have this folio case on it, so it is protected, or the keyboard case, I should say. So, when comparing these three tablets, I know everyone's going to say the same thing. It comes down to use case, right? It comes down to what's important to you, what are you going to use it for? I gotta say, when you're looking at the Android tablets here, between these two, the OnePlus Pad 2 is so much better for watching content in bright light situations, and you know, you're sitting on a couch or sitting in your chair, and you can rest it on top of a pillow or whatever. The OnePlus Pad 2 works great for that, and the reason is, look at this screen size difference here. Okay, so OnePlus Pad 2 is 11 inches, and the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 is, I believe they say, 10.1 inches. But in everyday usage, it really is a pretty significant difference there in the size. Now, this is not the Galaxy Tab S9 Plus. This is not the Tab S9 FE or FE Plus, whatever they call that. This is just the base Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. And just for a very quick comparison, I'll show you some stats here. I don't want to flash all of my information on screen, so I'm going to put that down while I go into general information. Okay, so Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, this is the 256 gigabyte model, so 12 gigs of RAM, as you can see right there, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. Coming over to the OnePlus Pad 2, this one has, sorry, I'm trying to find the right spot here. It's definitely different than the Samsung. About device, there we go. So OnePlus Pad 2 has 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. Okay, so exactly the same between these two. Obviously, the OnePlus Pad 2 is running Oxygen OS 14.1 right now. The Samsung is going to be running, try to find this. So the Samsung is running Android 14 and One UI version 6.1 on top of that. So you can see there's a little bit of difference there, and there's a little difference in the implementation of Android between these two. But the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 does have an AMOLED screen. It does. And it does make a big difference when it comes to, using this tablet at night. You can turn the brightness down real low and still have great clarity on it. Those blacks are just inky black. And you don't get that with the OnePlus Pad 2. It is not an AMOLED screen, and it does show in everyday usage. You can definitely tell a difference here. Let me plug this thing into charge. I don't have my SuperVOOC charging hooked up to it right now, but this thing charges so fast if you hook it up on SuperVOOC charging. And then the last tablet that we have over here, this is the iPad Pro 11-inch M2 model. Okay. All three of these tablets have 120 hertz refresh rates at minimum. So the iPad is ProMotion 120 hertz. Samsung Galaxy Tab S9's 120 hertz refresh rate. The OnePlus Pad 2 actually goes up to 144 hertz refresh rate. So a bit faster there. I'm sure it does matter for certain games. I never see the benefits of that or any difference in that. In everyday usage, all three of these tablets are just absolutely silky smooth, blowing through menus, no slowdown, no stutter whatsoever, no matter what you throw at it. Now, if you're talking about raw power, the iPad's going to win in that raw power, right? The iPad has an M2 chip. That's the same chip they were putting in there in MacBook laptops. It is just a powerhouse. Now, this iPad Pro with the M2 chip, it has 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage. So I did not pony up for the additional storage on this. And that's one of my biggest gripes of this iPad, is that there is no expandable storage, and 128 gigabytes in my current usage is just not sufficient. I'm constantly having to worry about, do I have enough space? Am I going to have to clean something off to put something new? It's just been a hassle. It's just been a hassle, really, in making sure that I have the storage that I need. On the 256 gigabyte models, I'm not really coming close to filling them up. You could probably see that earlier. This tablet just got back from China. It took a trip with my wife and daughters over to China, and they loved it. I used it to load up an SD card full of children's movies and TV shows that they could watch on the plane and in airports where they may not have a good strong Wi-Fi signal, which is a huge benefit of this Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, which I was about to get into. Is that expandable storage, right? So this does have a micro SD card slot in the side of it, and you can load up a memory card. You can load up that micro SD card with movies, pictures. You can very easily emulate classic games by loading your ROMs onto that micro SD card slot. Whereas with the OnePlus Pad 2, if you want to do that retro emulation, you're going to have to either plug in a dongle adapter on the end of the tablet and load those over and then store them on the tablet, which is going to use up some of your space on your tablet, obviously. And on the Samsung, you can keep all of those external, which does come in handy. Both of these have excellent controller support. Honestly, all three of these have excellent controller support. Android and iOS, the question of ecosystem it's really a mute point at this point in time. Sure, there are some apps that are still going to run better on the iPad than they do on Android tablets, but those are getting few and far between at this point. And really, you can use every app you want to use on either one of these tablets. One thing that the iPad does benefit from is that if you're an iOS user, so if you have an iPhone, if you have a MacBook Pro, whatever that is, the iPad's 100% the way to go. Just make sure that you are careful with your storage choice option. Reason I say that is this iPad can be used as a second display, right? So if you've got your MacBook Pro, your iPad sitting right next to it, you can use that as a second display wirelessly. No trouble, no trouble. Also, this Magic Keyboard, the trackpad is a bit small. Trackpad's a bit small. That's a downside of it. Everything else about this keyboard is amazing. You can see I have it floating right now. So I have it in this floating mode that really makes it very, very similar to a laptop. Whereas the others, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, you've got it propped up here with this kickstand on the back. And then likewise for the OnePlus, it's propped up by that kickstand. One small thing I would say, it's a big difference between these two tablets is the protection on the back of the tablet, the little bit of protection on the back, if you're using the top part of these keyboard stands alone. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's detach the keyboard there and detach the keyboard here. Oh, I don't know if you saw that, but the back cover just popped off of that OnePlus. So I noted this in my other video, but on the Samsung, you've still got this bottom part that stays magnetically connected to the back of the tablet. And then your kickstand folds off of that hinge point. On the OnePlus tablet, you don't. So on the OnePlus Pad 2, when you open that kickstand, sorry, I'm working one-handed here, there's no other protection on the back of that tablet. Kickstand folds out from a hinge point, and you've got no additional protection there. Something else important to keep in mind for these tablets is, let's get these keyboards out of the way. Something else that's important to keep in mind when considering a tablet is you're probably going to be using it to watch movies, right? Watch movies, watch YouTube videos, whatever that may be. When you're talking about sound, it is the OnePlus Pad 2 is absolutely amazing in terms of speaker output. It has 6 speakers, 6 speakers around it that get very, very loud. Just really blow, especially the iPad, out of the water. The Samsung's, it's got pretty good speakers as well. They're just a bit smaller. You can see that here on the Samsung. You've got 2 speaker grills here on this side, 2 speaker grills here on this side. That USB-C charging port here on the top is where you've got your micro SD card slot. On the OnePlus Pad 2, you've got 2 speakers there. It's really hard to see those speaker grills. 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there. So 6 speakers on this versus 4 speakers on the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. On the iPad, you've also got 4 speakers. You've got 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. Okay, so when it comes to sound output, Samsung, the OnePlus Pad 2 is just vastly superior. In my opinion, I prefer the size of the OnePlus Pad 2. This tablet is, OnePlus Pad 2 is a little bit heavier. It is a little bit heavier, no doubt there. but that additional screen real estate just makes it feel so much bigger. And I'm hoping that's coming across in this video, just how much bigger the OnePlus Pad 2 seems than the base Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. The OnePlus is obviously looks a little bit larger because it's standing up on that elevated stand, but if it was not on that elevated stand, it is very, very similar to the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9. Considerably smaller screen size than the OnePlus Pad 2. Now, stylus support. So this is one that's important for a lot of people, is taking notes and drawing. The Apple Pencil is very good. It's very good. There's no way to get around that. It is a great stylus. You can see it has this hover feature where as you hover over icons, they kind of highlight there, right? Okay, without touching the screen. To change to the eraser, you can of course double tap to go to your eraser, and then double tap to go back to your drawing instrument. Really mirrored experience here on the OnePlus Pad 2. Obviously, they very closely mirrored where it attaches, but also the functionality of it, right? So, you can double tap this, and it will switch you from your writing utensil over to the eraser. Now, the Notes app is significantly better on the iPad than the factory Notes app on the OnePlus, the OnePlus Notes app. But there's tons of third-party Notes apps out there. OneNote, a lot of people use OneNote, and just so many others as well. It really is a point of preference when it comes to that. The Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, it's the only one that includes that stylus, right? So that stylus is $129 for this one, the Apple Pencil 2. The OnePlus Pad 2 stylus is $99 if you buy it without any kind of specials. I did get the reserve pricing, so got a discount there. And the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 includes the S Pen in the box, so that's a pretty significant savings there. Also, the S Pen, one thing you're missing, you don't have that hover aspect, right? So you see I can hover without touching, and it's recognizing where it is, but you don't have that pop out like the iPad does, but it still has that hover functionality. You can see there it's recognizing where the tip of the stylus is, but I'm not making contact, and it's still recognizing it for a pretty good distance away. Looking at the OnePlus, let's see. I don't see that it has any kind of visual marker that it's recognizing where the stylus is before it makes contact. I'm almost positive that it does, because it's a Bluetooth stylus, and it does have presentation support and other things like that, but no visual indicator there, whereas the Samsung, you do have that visual indicator on the screen. Another thing, the S Pen on the Samsung has a physical button here, which I love that. I really, really love having that physical button when you're writing, when you're drawing. For me, it's just taking notes. When you're taking notes, to be able to, scribble a little bit and then use that physical button to erase, it's a big thing. And the reason I say that is with the OnePlus, something that I have run into a few times already in taking notes is that I will accidentally double tap. Okay, so I'll be in the middle of taking a note and accidentally double tap. Let's see. Let's create a new note. So it works great for taking notes, but to get to your eraser, you double tap, and I had a haptic feedback there. I'm sure There's no way to express that in the video, but if you watch over here, right now it's on pen input. If I double tap, this one will highlight. See how that highlighted? And I switch back to pen, back to eraser. So double tap to erase on the OnePlus. The trouble that I had is earlier today, I was in the middle of taking notes, and occasionally, just in readjusting the pencil in my hand, it was registering that I was trying to pull up the eraser, and it would start erasing. Also, the scrolling, the palm rejection is not great on here. So if you're laying your hand on it while you're writing, it will occasionally scroll and mess you up. Of course, I can't emulate it now that I'm trying to, but it did happen a few times today when taking notes. With the Samsung, I've never had that issue. The palm rejection is really good on here. It just comes down to software refinement, right? So Samsung just has had more time. They've added more refinements there. And Apple's the same way. Apple's palm rejection is fantastic. It's not going to accidentally scroll on you or register that your hand laying on the screen is trying to be an input method. So really fantastic there. Now, next important thing to keep in mind is battery life, right? So talking about battery life, OnePlus Pad 2 is a battery life champion, y'all. The OnePlus Pad 2 is insanely long battery life. When you pair that with that SuperVOOC charging, and the charger comes in the box with it, right? So that SuperVOOC charger that comes in the box, this thing can blazingly fast charge. I don't have it hooked up to SuperVOOC right now. I just don't have that cord handy. But yeah, this thing, you could charge it up. I could have it at almost 100% while I'm talking, while I'm making this video. The Samsung, I think the max it supports is 35 watt fast charging, which a lot of people would balk at that even being considered fast charging at this point. But the battery life is solid on this tablet, right? So it's an AMOLED, like I mentioned earlier. So not all your pixels are running at one time, especially if you have dark backgrounds. If you're, doing something that has a lot of black on the background and very little color pop out on it, this thing can sip battery in. And that really goes back to the processor, right? So this processor is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. So that's an important distinction. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, the OnePlus Pad 3 has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. The Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Well, it's not a normal 8 Gen 2. So this is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, which is a significantly overclocked chip. So in terms of raw performance power, almost no difference. I'm sure if you pull up a benchmark, yeah, you're going to find a slight difference there in the numbers, but in everyday usage, you're not going to see it. You're not going to feel it at all. Both of them are buttery smooth, have so many apps open, stuff's not closing out in the background. You're not running into situations where it's getting laggy and bogging down. You just don't have that problem on these tablets, right? Both of these are very premium tablets, and likewise on the iPad. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have slowdown, really, no matter what you throw at it. So you might, trying to find just an example. So I've used LumaFusion, right, on this. See if I still do have LumaFusion on this tablet. So LumaFusion for editing videos, just seamless on this thing, right? Export times, absolutely fantastic. You just do not have to worry about any kind of slowdown on the iPad. And likewise on the Samsung. I've never run into a situation where I'm like, oh, I wish this tablet could run faster, right? Those days are gone. Now, I started with Android tablets way back in the day. I have always been a tablet fan. I am a huge tablet fan. My first ever tablet was an iPad 2. So I didn't have the original iPad. It was an iPad 2. Then I had an iPad 3, and I believe that was the one that was just called the new iPad. I had that one. That was the new iPad. The only thing that was new about it was the Lightning port, right? So they moved away from that 30 pin over to Lightning. And as far as Android tablets go, my first ever Android tablet was a Motorola Xoom back in the day. I had an Asus ePC, I believe is what it was called, where it had the keyboard attachment that it would close like a clamshell. And then since then I've had Nexus 7s, I've had Samsung Galaxy Tab S7, had a Tab S8 Ultra, and then the Tab S8 Ultra is too big for me. It is too big. I cannot handle a 14 inch tablet the same way that you can this one. I know it doesn't seem like it's that huge of a difference, 11 inches to 14.6 inches. It feels like a huge barrier. It feels a lot different there. But I digress, right? So the point of this video was really just showing you the difference in these tablets, aesthetically, the difference. The Samsung takes a much more iPad-like design language, meaning those very flat edges. I mean, extremely flat edges, absolutely top-notch build quality. I mean, you hold this tablet and it is no doubt whatsoever that it is a premium Android tablet. Now, that premium Android tablet experience comes with a price, right? So this one is very, very nice feeling in the hand, just premium. iPad Pro, likewise, just super thin, incredibly thin. Looking at these two, they are essentially exactly the same width. Now the OnePlus Pad 2, you take it off of its stand. It's a premium tablet, guys. Don't get it twisted. I'm not knocking OnePlus here. OnePlus is making a good product. This is a aluminum tablet. The sides are rolled, so the sides are not flat, which really helps it with usability and comfort in the hand. I mentioned earlier, if you're watching YouTube videos in bed or laying in bed using this tablet, super comfortable to hold. The edges are not sharp. They're not going to be cutting into you in any way. And these tablets, that edge can get a little sharp at times, but they are so light and so small, they're forgiving. So the $1 million question, right? Which one of these tablets is best? I hate to be that guy, but depends on you. Depends on what you want to do with it, right? If you are heavily baked into the iOS ecosystem, don't fool yourself into thinking that the Samsung tablet is going to be better for you than the iPad, or the OnePlus Pad is going to be better than the iPad. If you're ingrained in that Apple ecosystem, if you've got a MacBook Pro, and an iPhone, get yourself a good iPad if you're looking for a tablet. If you're in the Samsung ecosystem, Samsung works great together, right? There's a lot of things where you can transfer back and forth from a Galaxy phone over to this Galaxy Tab S9, and even from the Galaxy Book Pro over to this Tab S9. Just seamless transfers there. So it has its perks if you're in that Galaxy ecosystem. Well, you got yourself a Galaxy S24 Ultra. This is a good counterpart there. Now, let's say you're a Windows user. You use an Android phone, not necessarily a Samsung. So you're using maybe a Motorola. You're using, obviously, if you're using a OnePlus, go with the OnePlus Pad. It's just superior, has a lot of great networking features. OnePlus is building out their ecosystem as well. So if you got a OnePlus phone, it's a no-brainer on which one to get. But if you're using an Android phone that is not a Samsung, and you're using Windows computing, go with the OnePlus Pad 2. It's powerful. Its battery life is fantastic. Charges in no time. When you do need to charge it, it charges in absolutely just blazing fast charging speeds. It's comfortable to hold. The screen's good. It's not AMOLED, but it's a good screen. With that being said, this iPad's not an AMOLED, right? I know I've talked a lot about, this one's not AMOLED and the Samsung's an AMOLED with those inky blacks. iPad Pro is not AMOLED. Now, the new iPad Pro with M4 is AMOLED, but this iPad Pro with an M2 chip is not. It doesn't mean it's not a great screen, right? This is a really good screen. All three of these are fantastic, high resolutions. You're not going to feel like you're using some second-class tablet or second-class display if you're using any of these tablets. If you want something that's great for consuming content, right? So you're not a content maker. You're consuming content, YouTube videos, playing some games, the retro emulation or other Android games. You're looking for something to lay in bed, sit back, use a tablet. Those more traditional tablet use cases, go with the OnePlus Pad 2. If you're looking for something that you need huge storage space, you don't want to pay for all of it, right? You are, regularly using a terabyte of space in music or ROMs or whatever that is, then the Samsung's going to be the no-brainer there. And again, if you're in the Apple ecosystem and you want something that you can easily edit videos while also consuming content and seamlessly transfer back and forth from an iPad to your iPhone or your MacBook, then the iPad's going to be your choice to go with. If you're looking for a superior stylus experience, go with the Samsung. Stylus is that much better. It is so much smoother. You will feel much better with the stylus on the Samsung and that S Pen. So there you go, guys. It is highly subjective which tablet's best. For me, I could easily keep the OnePlus Pad 2 as my sole tablet. Absolutely no trouble there. And I do use an iPhone and I do use a MacBook Pro. But the limited space on this is really getting to me. And quite frankly, I prefer Android. I prefer Android on tablets. iOS is great for phones, but I don't prefer iOS on a tablet. The big screen, it feels limiting, and now they're making headway, right? So they've got Stage Manager. I don't use Stage Manager. I choose not to use it. I don't find it beneficial. On the Samsung, it has Dex. I don't use Dex, even though it gives you that desktop-like experience. I just don't use it. I don't see the value in it. So I use a tablet on the standard usage that it comes with. And for me, for consuming content only, for watching videos, and what I use a tablet for, watching videos in bed, watching videos sitting at home on the couch, maybe on a plane or something like that, short plane trips, where I don't have to worry about loading up 512 gigabytes or a terabyte SD card, micro SD card with videos, then I'm going to go with the OnePlus. But I just wanted to have this very, very, very quick overview to show you that these are all three great tablets. Money is going to be a major factor, right? So a new iPad Pro is going to cost you $899, I believe. Samsung Galaxy Tab S9, I believe, is $799, $899 maybe. But you're right there in that same range, $799, and that's for the 128 gig version. If you want to step it up to the 12 gigs of RAM, 256, then you're talking about an extra $100 there. OnePlus Pad 2, you get the 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. That's the standard that we get here in the US. And for that, I think I paid $349 for this tablet with the pre-order specials. It's like $349. Even without any pre-order specials, $549. Trade in any device at all. You got an old Kindle Fire laying around from who knows when, right? Years and years ago, battery shot, doesn't turn on. Absolutely, it's garbage, right? It needs to be recycled. $50 off. You trade it in on the OnePlus Pad 2. So that's it, guys. For me, OnePlus Pad 2 all the way. Highly recommend this tablet. It's fantastic. No slowdowns. Love the super fast charging and how it just sips battery and can seemingly go on forever. So leave a comment, right? Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me your thoughts. If you agree, disagree, let me know. I'm always looking for feedback and additional use cases, and I like to hear how people are using their tablets and what they think. So come back for another video. I'm still thinking about what my next video topic is going to be, but I'm looking to get one out here in the next week or two, and hope you guys tune in for it. Thanks. Have a great day.